Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live here this Monday. Excited to have this great conversation today. We're going to be talking about stocks and trades today. Before we get started, we got a couple of housekeeping things that we do that we want to make sure the audience is well aware of. One of which is where we come from. The Black Man Lab was started years ago by Brother Mowley Davis and three other brothers that came together to have conversations with their sons. We know as Black men, a lot of times our sons have a tendency to not want to listen to us. So what they did was they made a decision, a conscious decision, to have some other brothers reach out to their sons and talk to them about life things in general. And that has blossomed into what is Black Man Lab today. And Black Man Lab normally is a live session that we do at the Andrew Walter Young YMCA here in Atlanta. With COVID going on, we are not getting together in person. So now we have this virtual world that we are able to deal in. And actually, it worked out pretty well for us because we're able to reach out to folks across the country as well and have these conversations. So that's where Black Man Lab originated from, where we are today. Eventually, we will be able to get back in the same space to get our arms around each other as Black men and have these deep and meaningful conversations about both things from a professional world as well as a personal development standpoint. So that's where Black Man Lab comes from. Today, I have co-hosting with me my brother Maurice Thompson. Mo, how you doing? Muted, Mo. Looks like Mo is having some technical difficulties. Can't get him on. Um, anyway, brother Maurice Thompson is co-hosting with me. There he is.
How you doing, Marty?
What's happening, Mo?
Good to see everybody today, and excited to be here to talk about stocks and trading with our panelists. So
awesome. Thanks for being on with me, man. Also, I have a couple of our other brothers from the Black Man Lab that are here that I want to introduce as well. My brother Jared. Jared's here, and brother Jared Grant. What he will do is bring our ancestors into this space for us. We are very clear that we are standing on the shoulders of all those that came before us, all those that put in well-intentioned into our being as we are as Black men. And Jared will speak to that. Also, we have our brother Fred Parham, who for the past couple of weeks has co-hosted with me as well. I'm glad he's on the panel with us today as well, so that he can impart his piece into this, which is getting us into that. What we talk about when we're in person is being in a safe and sacred place to have these open conversations as Black men. So often we don't. We hold things in and we don't allow ourselves to be open to one another as Black men. A lot of that is due to how the world kind of dictates where we have been in society. But we want this to be a space where we are open and honest and able to receive information. So with that, I want to start with you, Fred. Welcome. And if you could bring us into that safe and sacred space.
Absolutely. Good evening, brothers. Good to see everybody. I was having a couple of technical difficulties, but persevered nevertheless. So for all of the listeners, welcome. Special shout out to some folks in Texas who tuning in tonight. Just get in a position where you can take a deep breath, whether you're standing or sitting with me on the count of 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly, 3, 2, 1. After a long day, that's an opportunity to just kind of release and relax and get set for what I think and know will be a great panel tonight. So again, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. And looking forward to a great show, Marty.
Thank you so much, brother Fred. Appreciate you so much. And brother Jared,
Yes.
can you jump on and bring our ancestors into the space?
Appreciate it, Brother Marty. Welcome, everyone. We always like to begin with those who came before us. We recognize, as Marty eloquently said earlier, we recognize those ancestors or those people who came before us. And we want to ask for us to just do some remembrance of those folks. And so lock into your memory, your hearts and mind, those international ancestors, those ancestors that impacted us on an international level, and those who we remember from our past. So take about 3 to 5 seconds and lock somebody up in your mind that brought us so much from our past. And raise your fist up, and everybody say Ashe.
Ashe.
And now we also recognize those national ancestors, those who were raised here in the United States, in North America, direct descendants, those who have impacted us right here. Lock somebody in your heart and mind from here nationally. And raise your fist up, and everybody say Ashe.
Ashe.
And lastly, let's lock in those who created you, those in your own family line. Just think about those who came before you that actually created you, yourself, the blood that runs through your body. So lock them in right now. And then everybody raise a fist up. And everybody say Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
All
All right. Thank you, Brother Jared. Appreciate that. Lastly, another thing that we do when we are in the same space with one another is that we allow for anybody that's having a tough day, that's had a tough day, week, a month, tough year, to come forward in the space that we're in. And we as Black men just embrace them. We hug them. We don't ask any questions. We don't say, hey, tell me what's going on with you. We don't do any of that. All we do is show love. And it's one of the pivotal things that we do at the beginning of every session. So what we want to do is just let you all know, anybody that's listening in, anybody that needs love, that we as Black men are sending you that love. We are sending you a hug. We ain't asking any questions about why you need it. We just know that sometimes we as Black men need it. So understand that we are sending our love your way. All right, with that, I want to go ahead. We have a guest on, a couple more joining us as well. But I want to go ahead and allow brothers to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the topic matter at hand. Brother Carlos, you want to give an introduction of yourself? You're on mute, Carlos.
I am on mute. All right, let's fix that.
You're good now.
Can you hear me now? All right.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Carlos Lawton, software developer by trade, stock trader by, I guess, passion. I've been doing it for, I don't know, probably in the past 5 or 6 years now. Glad to be here.
Okay, awesome. Glad to have you on, brother. And I see Brother James Cooper, you joined. If you could give an introduction of yourself. You're on mute, brother.
What's happening, Black Men Lab?
What's happening? Brother Miley.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
We are introducing. We're introducing right now. So, Brother James Cooper is giving an introduction of himself.
My name is James Cooper. I'm one of the 4 owners of Big Impact Traders. We actually are a Black-owned company teaching stocks, how to trade when the market is down, and how to profit.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, brother. We appreciate you. We appreciate the knowledge that you're going to bring on. The voice that you all heard, the person you heard jump on before, was Brother Miley Davis, who I spoke about as one of the founders of Black Man Lab. Miley, you want to give some words of wisdom before we get jumped off here?
Man, I just want to give some love, brothers. Obviously, man, these are very trying times, and it's great to have great thinkers, financial thinkers. One of the things that we have talked about from the beginning of Black Man Lab with our young people, just how we can be financially sustainable and successful and economically independent. And so, this is right in line with what we've been saying from day one, over 4 years ago when we first started Black Man Lab in its infancy stages. So we appreciate you all, man. I'm glad Marty and Maurice are able to guide this conversation, and I look forward to learning as much as I can, and then being a part of the closeout. So let's just keep pressing ahead, all you good brothers, and thank you all. And I'm going to try to share it on my Facebook and make sure folks get to hear this powerful information. So thank you all.
All right, Brother Miley. Thanks, man. Also, I want to introduce another one of our Black Man Lab members, and an important member of Black Man Lab, Brother Mark Lawson, who's had some experience in dealing in stocks and trading as well, and he's going to jump in every now and then as well. So, Brother Mark.
How you doing, Brother Marty? My name is Mark Lawson. My background is I'm an entrepreneur in the software industry, and I've been trading now for a while due to everyone investing in their 401k program, and so I started messing around with that. So love to give some insight with regard to that.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you, bro. So first question for you guys. Tell us what got you started in the space, right? What got you started in in stocks or trading or both? Tell us what got you started. Brother Carlos, I'll start with you.
For me, I'm really into logical games, and the type of trading I do is technical analysis. So a lot of how I determine what my trades are going to be, where I'm going to invest my money, when I'm going to exit, it all is a lot of it has to do with human psychology and a lot of game theory. And so that's just really what got me into it. It was exciting to see that you could kind of look at how people are reacting to something and translate that into a way to make money.
Awesome. Okay. Brother James, how about you?
With my situation, me and my partner, if you can see him, Mr. Elton Spencer, we was taught the game 2 years ago from a third party, which is also a partner who has 11 years experience. We was taught the game 2 years ago about trading options, and it grabbed our attention because number one, we didn't know anything about trading except buy low and sell high. So when we was introduced to options game, which a lot of people call it day trading, it just blew our mind away because it was a short version of long-term trading. And that's what caught our attention to go even harder. And we ended up taking that, turning it into a program.
Awesome. And you said you started how long ago, Brother Cooper?
2 years ago.
Awesome. Okay. And Brother Mark, how about you? What's your experience been?
Yes, as I said, I started trading based on my company, the 401k program. So we're investing in a mutual fund, started getting into index funds, and from there, just looking to increase my portfolio, so watching the stock market and actually getting interested in what's going on because that's for my retirement.
Got you. Now, as you guys do this, as you guys have been doing and playing in that world, what would you say have been the first challenge that you came across?
Well, for me, the biggest one is, and it still is a challenge every day, is overcoming the emotional piece of it, realizing that if you put your emotion into it, you're almost guaranteed to end up losing money or make irrational decisions. And as soon as you take that out of it, there's a lot of money to be made, and it's much easier to operate when you're not doing it emotionally.
Carlos, explain that a little bit more for me, though, when you say putting your emotion into it.
Okay, so let's say you go into a trade and you think it's going to go one way, and all of a sudden you look down at your account and you're down $10,000. For a lot of people, your stomach's going to start cramping up. You're going to want to get out of it immediately, even though going to the trade that may happen. But if you just give it a minute to actually play out the way you plan the trade, it's going to go your direction. But when you see those numbers on the screen, you start to get really nervous and you lose the plan that you had in mind. Or something starts to go your way, but it's real, that stock might really, really head up, and you entered it and it's going to go up 20% from where you entered. And now you're up and you see $10,000 in profit. Like, ooh, let me take my money right now. You do that, but then you miss out on a much bigger move. So when you take out the emotional part of it, pay attention to knowing, okay, I plan out this trade. This is what I expect to happen. These are the risks that I know that I'm willing to accept. And this is where I expect to take profit. When you can stick to that and take the emotion out of it, then you can actually really start to be successful in your trading.
Got you. So in other words, don't panic.
Well, don't panic and don't be greedy. Fear and greed are your two biggest enemies.
Words to live by. All right. What about you, brother Cooper?
Oh, he nailed it on that. I mean, yeah, your hands start getting sweaty. You know, we got a model, pigs get slaughtered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you see a green day, you know, it's times where you might be up $500 and you stay in the trade and now you down $1,500 fighting to get that same $500 back, and you just wish you could get half of it back. But since I don't really want to piggyback off of him because he nailed it on the head, one of the biggest thing is discipline. And what I mean by that, because we have this little thing right here, which is a phone, the timing it can be bad, you know, because we trade futures. So that's 23 hours a day, 6 days a week. So it's times we done been at Georgia Tech basketball game, watching a great game, the Falcons watching a great game. And we probably watch 15 minutes of the game and the rest we just traded. Because trading starts at 6 p.m. on Sunday all the way till next Friday. So the only day you have off with futures is on a Saturday. So with that being said, if you got a wife, if you got a girlfriend, that can cause a problem. So you're going to have to discipline yourself to say, from this time to this time, I can focus on trading. But that's even hard because today the NASDAQ 100 broke an all-time record and hit 11,000. And what did it hit?
11,058 or something was the high.
So like that. So just to let you know how important that is, less than 6 months ago, it crashed all the way down to 6,000 points. So when you see the numbers going up like that, like I should have been finished today trading. But when the numbers started going up like that at 3 o'clock, I ended up jumping back into a trade. So that's a part of the discipline as well. But the main thing is managing your time. Managing your time. Don't chase the market. Manage your time. If this is what you're sticking to, then try to stick to it. It's going to be hard because you got earnings reports coming out. You got news coming out. You got Trump saying something crazy on Twitter. So anything can make that market go crazy. And sometimes you want to take advantage of it. But it's just the time, the management of the time is what I see I have a problem with.
Okay, well, it definitely seems that passion is required for this as well, because I hear a lot of passion from both you, Carlos, and I heard it from Mark because he talked about his personal investment. What we focus on here is educating and providing awareness for young brothers as they're coming up and looking to get into investing and get into stocks and trades. So what can you give us in terms of guidance on how to get started? Like, brothers, you've broken some very complicated trading elements down quite simply into, you know, buy high or buy low, sell high. But let's break it down. How would you recommend looking at where you are right now? And I know, James, you're teaching, so you're providing guidance. So maybe this is a part of your instruction. But how could a young brother who has maybe $50, $100, or maybe even less, how would you recommend they get started into investing?
Me personally, I would have them go towards options. Options.
And how would they do that? Like, what would be a good way for them to start?
Well, they would go to TD Ameritrade, download the app, which is Thinkorswim. The great thing about it, they have a simulator app on there, so you can practice over and over and over. And one of my partners, Mr. Dawkins, he's a genius at this, finding stocks and shares that's only 3 cents a share, 5 cents a share, 20 cents a share. So with that being said, it allows you to go in there with minimum, you know, $200, $300, $400, $500. Whereas with futures, you know, one position, you got to have $500 covering that trade and another $500 on top of it for your reserve money. So it would be much cheaper for them to go into the option world, and they have a little more leeway, meaning futures is an in and out process. You in and you out. With options, the expiration date is 5 days, but you can expand it to 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And at the end of the day, you're looking at the everyday stocks on the trade market, meaning your Facebooks, your Amazon, and things of that nature. And because that costs so much, like I think Apple hit $400 today. So just to go get 10 shares of Apple is going to be $4,000. But in the options world, those same 10 shares can run you from $3 to $6 a share. So it makes it more affordable, more convenient for somebody that don't have a loaded account to jump in and get their feet wet. So I would tell them to go towards the options way.
Outstanding. And then is there additional or higher level of risk on that, on one side versus another that you can share? Options versus futures versus, going directly into maybe trying to get into some bonds. So I don't know, Carlos or James or Mark, you want to answer?
Well, what I was going to say is it also might be helpful is to just talk about what the different things are, what options actually are, as opposed to trading equities or options on futures or futures themselves. So first, I also agree with going the options route as a way of actually being able to see your money grow quickly and being able to do it with a much smaller amount, but it is a much more high risk thing. So what I do primarily now is just trading options. I've kind of stepped away from equities for the most part, just because the returns have been a lot better on options. But I will also say that today, I made multiple trades that lasted maybe 10 minutes and I lost 26% on one of those. And then a trade I made yesterday, I made 104% in like 8 minutes. So that's a lot of money to be made, but it's also a lot of money to be lost very quickly. So if you're not following discipline, you can end up losing money really, really quickly, blowing your account up, basically losing all your money in one trade before you know what happened. But the idea is basically that equities would be actually owning a piece of a real company. So you own a share of Facebook, a share of Apple, a share of Macy's. Options are exactly what they say. It's the option to either buy or sell a fixed set of shares. And with options and equities, it's usually 100 shares of a company. So you might pay $3 to control 100 shares of Apple, which, like we said, if Apple's $400, those 100 shares would cost you what, $40,000 to buy normally, but you can control them with just $3. Now, that means that you now have the option to sell them at some later date for the price that you bought. So you can say, okay, I want to buy an option to buy Apple at $300 because I think it's going to keep going up. And now I have the option to buy at $300. So if it's worth $1,000 later, I can buy them at $300 and sell them at $1,000 and make all that profit in between. And I only paid $3 for the ability to do that. But you also pay a premium that goes along with that. So you're trading the premium. So it's like, okay, that seems like a great deal. I'm gonna go buy a whole bunch of these for $3. But the reality is it's probably not gonna go up as much as you think. It might go down. And then that $3 you spend is worth $0. So if you put in $10,000 of your money at $3 goes to zero, you just lost all your money. Much more high risk.
I got you. Because I was looking around my desk and I know I had $3 over here somewhere. I thought you were telling me I could get in and get about 10,000 shares of Apple stock for $3.
Right.
I was about to shut the broadcast down.
Well, you have the option. You have the option to do it.
Okay.
Hey, Mo, I'm writing notes. I'm over here taking notes like, so what? I've been doing this all wrong. Okay.
So like I said, the options are high risk, but they're high reward, and they're much less expensive to get into. But then you also have, they were talking about the futures. So that's basically looking at the direction that certain parts of the market are going. So you can trade futures in the stock market, so sections of the market. So the broader market, like industrials, the Dow Jones, or the general market, the S&P 500, or mostly the technology stocks, the NASDAQ, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Like if anyone watched Trading Places, I don't know how young or old the people on here are. You know, you could get, what is it, concentrated orange juice futures. You trade.
I love it because that's the example we always use. And I was a baby. I'm 52. So I was a baby and I just used to watch it over and over because I thought it was funny. But here it is. The stocks was right in our face. We just didn't know. Yeah. And what that movie actually was showing was when they lost all their money in a quick second from the orange juices or whatever the case was, because of situations like that, they have what they call a circuit breaker now. And we was never taught anything about a circuit breaker until the market crashed based off of the China trade war.
China trade war, yeah.
The China trade war, it crashed the market. And what happens with a circuit breaker? If it go up in a matter of seconds, 100, 300 points in a matter of seconds, or if it crashed down and the whole market is stopped. And it stopped for an hour, 2 hours. And me and my partner, we was lost. We didn't understand. We was actually stuck in the trade. And when it reopened an hour later, we was down how much?
$14,000.
$14,000. So we didn't know anything about a circuit breaker, but the reason they had to put that into play is because some people got 100 million wiped out of their account in 5 seconds. So instead of allowing that to happen again, they put in place, the SEC put in place a circuit breaker. This is what they don't teach you in these books. They don't teach you in these books. This is from experience. We didn't know. We went through it. I had to call the company up. Wait, we lost 14,000. What's going on? They said, well, it's a circuit breaker. There's nothing we can do. They was basically saying you should have learned. You should have, somebody should have taught you that, is what they were saying. No, we're not giving you your money back.
And that's a great transition to my next thing, is that what Black Man Lab is about is just that, right? We as a community so often don't have those secrets. We don't have that information. And what Black Man Lab is about is bringing brothers together that have the information, which we historically, a lot of times, just brothers that have the information, we just don't share it, right? We're not in a position to share it with other brothers. So that's what Black Man Lab is about. What would you say is, do you guys have any thoughts or ideas, or know of any resources that are great for young brothers to get this kind of information from, rather than having to experience what you experienced, James, but where there are any resources that young brothers will be able to get this kind of information?
You want to answer that? We'll piggyback.
Honestly, you really just gotta seek the information out there, because it's not like this trading is not like a one-stop shop. It's hard to just go, I'm gonna just go here and I'm gonna learn everything I need to learn, because it's like almost like a puzzle. So you might go here and get maybe 65, 70% of it. You might feel like you missed a little. You might tune in over here and say, oh man, this is what I was looking for. And then I might get this over here. So it's hard to really say like, oh, you know what, here, just go here. They're gonna teach you everything, unless you specifically go to a class that's teaching you. Like you ain't able to shortcut it. I know so many people who say, oh, they go to YouTube and they're gonna give you some good information. But a lot of that stuff, you're gonna have to already understand it and know how to apply it. But if you don't have a foundation, you're gonna have to get a foundation somewhere. You're gonna have to.
And one of the things that we ran in as a whole, we realized that a lot of our people was afraid of the stock market. Number one, I grew up in the inner city, as well as my brother from New Jersey. Nobody around me grew up talking about stocks. We was talking about moving bricks. Nobody talked about stocks or anything like that. So from my mother to my father, rest in peace, to my brothers, my uncles, nobody spoke about stocks. So anytime we related Wall Street or somebody working on Wall Street, we said, oh, you got to be rich to work on Wall Street. Number one. Number two, you got to be smart to work on Wall Street. There's a lot of people on Wall Street not rich or smart. You know what I mean? But they are in the know. So that's the thing that separates them from somebody that's not in the know. So when we talk about our young brothers picking up this art and picking up this craft, at the end of the day, the reason we created an online course is because the simplicity of teaching it is going to be our gem. As if we taught it exactly how it is, it would bore them to death. It would not hold their attention. Trust and believe that. It would bore them to death. It bored us. Yeah. So we said, no, we got to simplify this. It's not that they couldn't learn it. They can learn it, but the first 30% of it, they might don't want to continue the next 60 or 70% of it. So we created a program to just make it that much more easier. They're trying to bring us to Detroit Boys and Girls Club. And the same program we're launching in September is the same program they want us to teach into their Boys and Girls Club, because they looked over the program and they said this is teachable to a 14-year-old, to a 13-year-old. We never even thought about taking it into a Boys and Girls Club, a YMCA, or anything like that. It was really driven for colleges, starting with the HBCUs. However, when they reached out and said, we want this program in Detroit, and I said, what college? They said, no, the Boys and Girls Club. I said, wow. But I really thought about it because of technology, because a 13 or 14-year-old will run circles around somebody like me that's 52 years old when it comes to the digital. That right there, they're not going to have a problem with it because we're relating it to life. When we're talking, we're relating it to life. And that's how they get it. So at the end of the day, when he opened the gates of the Boys and Girls Club, we said, well, maybe we can scale it down and go to a younger crowd and start teaching it at that level as well.
Awesome.
That's
So I would also just point out, though, there is a lot of the information is out there online. So like they said, you do have to go out and seek it out. But there are a couple of really good YouTube channels and groups that give the information not in a sales type of way. So they're not necessarily selling their courses, but they're just like this one guy in particular, the chart guys. He's one of the people that got me started on the path of really doing the technical analysis side of things. And that's looking at the charts. It has nothing to do with the news cycle or anything else. You can look at the charts, look at how the money is moving. And based off that, you really can, with high probability of getting it correct, identify which direction things are going to move. So the chart guys videos on YouTube are fantastic. They have a whole website that has a bunch of information on there. Also, Investopedia has lots of really good information. It is not going to be as, like they're saying, it's not going to be all that entertaining to consume, but if this is something that you are interested in actually learning about, you're going to have to set aside the fact it's not necessarily going to be as much fun to learn the information. You're going to have to put a certain amount of dedication into it. And if you're looking at it from purely an excitement standpoint, there's a high likelihood you're going to lose all your money doing it because it's really easy to get in there and make a lot of exciting trades and lose a lot of money. And it's also difficult to get in there and just make a lot of consistent, boring trades and consistently make money. So
yeah, I like
I'll
that.
just say that.
I like that.
Okay. All right. So that's great. I greatly appreciate that. And this is very helpful. And I think it's not going to just be the kids who are going to benefit in Detroit when you get to the Boys and Girls Club. I think there's some employees there who can't wait for you to get there too. How they can make their money grow rapidly. But we do have some questions online. So number one, we have one from Eric Provitt. And Eric, I'm glad you're here. And hopefully today is a good day for you, good brother. But we have a question from Eric. He wanted to break down on equities and bonds. So Carlos, I think you got into equities, ownerships in companies. Anybody have a definition on bonds?
I can ask Google for you.
What?
Give me a second.
Okay.
I don't do anything with bonds, so I honestly, personally,
we don't do
really know the
anything with
difference.
bonds
No
either.
bonds. Okay, so we had a brother respond, and it looks like it's Corey Chester. He's saying that's related to the debt within the company. So more on the debt side. And then we had a question in regards to, looks like there's a conversation around when to invest. So if you have, to your point, $500, $1,000, is it a good time to invest now if you also have other debts and expenses that are out there? Or should you wait until you're clear of any additional expenses and debts and obligations before you venture to put money into the market? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm the wrong person to ask that because I'm a cowboy. They call me a cowboy. When I thought I knew trading enough, I took out a loan. They would never tell you to take out a loan. Never. I did the total opposite of what a book would tell you not to do. I did the total opposite. Took out a loan, put $50,000 in the account, and started making $4,000 or $5,000 a day. So I'm a cowboy. That's what they call me. I take risks. So with that being said, I couldn't tell a person exactly the perfect time to trade, because if that 500 is the only money they have and they don't have enough experience to manage that 500, then obvious they definitely shouldn't trade because they're not ready. And it's going to be likely that you're going to lose that $500. So if that's your last $500 that you need for your lights or your bills, now if that 500 is just sitting in the savings and you think you strong enough to start trading, go take it. Because what are you waiting for? Weight broke the wagon. You know what I mean? So if that 500 is in your savings and just sitting there and you know you don't need it for no reasons or anything like that, and you got money constantly coming in to take care of your bills, you got to start somewhere. Even if you took 200 out of that 500 and started the options or whatever, but you got to start somewhere. And a lot of times that's what we do. We just wait and wait and wait and wait. When we started this, and he corrected me, we actually was taught
in 2017.
In 2017, it was just towards the middle of 2017.
Like April of 2017.
When we started to trade, it was 4 other people that was supposed to come on board with us. Guess what they doing? They still waiting. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, they still waiting.
They still waiting. It's like playing double dutch. When you going to jump the hell in? You just going to turn the rope all day. When are you going to jump in and start jumping? So a lot of times people get cold feet, hands sweaty. Oh man, if you love money, don't trade. I'm gonna say it again. If you in trading to make money, and I know it sounds crazy. I told you I'm awkward with this. If you in this to make money, don't trade. If you love money, don't trade. Because this is what it's going to do. It's going to make you take shortcuts to try to get that profit. If you concentrate on your art and owning that art or whatever, money will come. Trust me. But if you chase that dollar, I'm in it just to make money. I'm in it just to make money. You're going to crack your account every time. Every time you're going to crack your account.
And that's words to live by for whatever your profession is, right? If you are just chasing money and not the passion for the work, then it never works out. It never works out. That's good words there. Brother Carlos, did you have anything to add to that?
I would say you need to look at where the money is owed and what the interest is going to be. So I think we asked earlier, and I didn't actually get to weigh in on this. As far as getting started, before you do anything, you need to paper trade. And that's basically getting one of those accounts that will let you trade with fake money in the real market. It might be a little bit delayed, but it really lets you get a feel for how things are working. If you haven't been doing that, don't invest any real money, and definitely not real money that you owe to somebody else that has interest owed on it. But once you've done that enough and you feel confident that you have a system or a way of investing your money that's going to return you more than it's going to cost you in interest on that money, then why not go ahead and invest it? If I think I can consistently earn 5% a year and I owe 3% on the money, yeah, invest it. Take the 3% you made, keep it, and take the other 2% and pay the person you owe.
Good advice.
That's my view.
Good advice.
All right. Well,
go ahead, Mo.
All right, so I'm following this conversation, and this is outstanding. So I would take it that both Carlos and James and your partner, you are highly risk adverse. Is that correct? Or are you very much risk takers? I think Cowboy, you are very much a risk taker. You're not averse to taking some level of risk.
And what I mean by risk taker, I'm still managing my risk, but I might trade higher than normal. So in the futures world, one position that you purchase is $20 a dollar, $20 a point. Every time you move a point, you get, $20. I might average or trade in 5 positions at one time. So now, instead of that $20 a point, I'm going after $100 a point. When that market look like it's going my way, I'll scale in and go from 5 points to 10 points. 10 positions. Now I'm at $200 a point. So that's what I mean by the cowboy part. But I wouldn't make them trades if I didn't do rich management first. Some people wouldn't go that high, period. That's why they call me a cowboy. Some people wouldn't go that high. They wouldn't go past 3 positions.
Okay.
I would call myself selectively risk averse. So it depends on what the risk is for, and my current state of let's say financial solidity. If I got a lot of money to waste, then yeah, I might be a little bit more risk averse. It's risk on all day. If I've made a whole bunch of money in the market for the past month, I'm probably going to be a little bit more risky. If I'm having a down month, then I'm probably gonna be much more conservative in my choices.
Right.
Okay, so based on the market today, is today a good day for?
It was a great day.
Today was a fantastic day if you had puts.
All right, so break that down, because it looks like at 2 o'clock something happened to the market and it took a whole different position. But you all are smiling based on that. So break down what today's market meant to you.
Well,
So you can make money no matter which direction the market goes. You can do that whether you're buying equities or whether you're buying options, because you can make money when it's going up because you buy it and then you sell it when it gets high. You can also sell shares that you don't own. It's called shorting a stock. So you say, hey, let me borrow 100 shares of this stock and I'll give it back to you later. So someone gives you those shares, you get the money for it, and then later on you have to return the shares to the person. The price of the stock goes down, you can buy them back for less. You keep the difference between what they were worth when you bought them and when you sold them. So today the market actually went up a whole lot. It started up really high, it kept going up, and then it dropped way back down. So if you traded either direction today, you could have made good money. Like, for example, I traded Tesla earlier today, and Tesla just went insane at the beginning of the day for no reason. And then I knew it was going to tank at some point. It got way, way up there. I was like, this is the spot right here. You can tell it's about to happen. And I was in, and then it just crashed down. That's a beautiful thing. I personally think Tesla's way overpriced, so I was just happy to see it happen, plus to be able to do a little something.
Hey, well, let me say this. It's because I trade futures, right? Futures is what I really trade. I dibble and dabble with options a little bit. I initially learned options. But for me, futures, it gets so volatile. And like he said, one position will pay you $20 a point. So through my over the last year or so, getting better and better and better at trading it, I developed a strategy called scaling in the market. Like he said, he'll go from 5 positions to 10 positions, where I developed a strategy where I'll start at one position where it's only paying me $20 a point. I also, because it's the futures, I'm in late night. Like if I show you some of my percentages and the times that I was trading, I'll be up 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning trading while people sleep, because it's a China market. China market, it doesn't move as slow as it doesn't move as fast as our market. But what it does, it gives you the direction that our market is going to go before it opens. So today was great. Like I knew today was going to be a great day because I was doing my homework, and the China market actually started shooting up. So once it closed at 5 o'clock this morning, I probably didn't put another trade after about right until about maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I made most of my money at that time. I waited and watched the market just start going up and up and up, and he was killing them. But I already had made so much of a profit. I said, I really don't even have to. I don't have to trade for another couple of days. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, am I going to be greedy because the market is giving it to you? Like that's one thing about the market. You just take what it gives you. You're not trying to predict it, and you just take what it gives you. And today, that market, from the high to the low, when that market reached its high, it dropped all the way back down 278 points. Mind you, one position is $20 a point. So then the market turned around and shot back up. I took some money going up. I couldn't just keep watching it just go up and up and up. I'm reading, like he said, Tesla, Amazon, all these things was going crazy today. I capitalized on it. But like I said, man, the market futures is so volatile. Like I promise you, depending on the amount of funds you have in your account, man, you will be surprised how fast your account will grow. You'll be like, wait, is this supposed to happen like this?
Or shrink if you're not careful.
Or shrink. So see now, because you do options, right? In futures, we got something on futures called a stop loss. So I can put a 10-point stop loss on there. And if I'm at one position or 5 positions, like he said, it's $100 a point. So at the one position, it's only $20 a point. So if it goes against me 10 points, it's only $200. So I can afford, you remember how you said earlier, it's going to come that way. But it's up to you if you're going to say, listen, I know it's coming that way. I did my homework. I'm watching it. And are you willing to wait it out? And like I said, that's why I developed the strategy of scaling in the market. And I'll start at one position. So if it happens to go against me, trust me, I'm ready for it when it comes back. And when it comes back, you best believe I'm going to get it. I'll be in 15 positions at 300 a point. I'll get 5-6 points. I'm up $1,700, $1,800, maybe $2,100. I'll jump out one trade.
Mm-hmm.
And do that once or twice a day. And you had $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You're like, whoa, I'm good. You go dry your hands off after that. Hey, you go. Hey, I'm getting my hands is sweaty just thinking about it. Hey, because 6 o'clock already came.
Yeah, it looks like you ready to get off. You ready to get off of this with us? And get busy.
Man, I can imagine what the market's doing right now. China market opens up at 8 o'clock.
It's flat. It's flat. Don't feel bad. I'm watching it now.
It's flat? Okay. So I want to see if that volatility spikes up at 8 o'clock. So
And to everyone listening, volatility is just talking about how quickly the price of the stock is moving up and down versus just kind of moving gradually in one direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Carlos, to get that information, because a lot of us have some knowledge, some very tertiary knowledge of stocks and trading, but there's plenty of us that don't know the terms, right? So when you guys are able to educate us further on that, that's great. Speaking of which, we had a question from Brother Troy Davis, and the question was, are blue chip stocks still a thing?
Blue chip stocks.
They are still a thing, but I don't even know which ones are considered blue chips anymore, because it should be all the tech stocks, because that's what's leading the market right now. That's what's got all the money, but I don't think they're considered blue chip. Blue chip would be like IBM, and they are still a thing, but I don't really know how much of an impact they have on the overall market like they did at one point in time.
So that's basically, you said tech kind of stocks?
No, so blue chip stocks used to be like kind of the big bellwether stocks. It's like these huge stocks, you just know the company, like IBM or GE, those kind of companies to be considered blue chips. Like, this is the best of the bunch, but those really aren't the companies that are best of the bunch anymore, because the world has changed so much. So now tech stocks like Amazon, Facebook, Google, those are the companies that would be considered blue chip, but I don't think they're categorized as such anymore.
Gotcha. Mo, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just checking the list, and it looks like you've got a number of the good questions here. So what's interesting is the way in which you describe investigating the market, so studying the market. So I know it sounds like discipline is key. The other part is research and educating and driving yourself up on the awareness of what's happening. You're talking about multiple markets. You're not just talking about US. You jump to China, you probably look at some other markets and see how that's going to translate. So how much time, and you gave us an example of like going to the game, but you traded through most of the game. How much time in a day are you spending actively either preparing for the trades? I'll just say preparing for the trades, because actual trading seems like that's an all-day thing until the market's about to close. But how much time do you take preparing for the trades?
Actually, you're going to spend more time in preparation as far as futures is concerned. You're going to spend more time in preparation than your actual trading, because once you prepare properly and you're patient and disciplined, you're ready to go and pull the trigger. It's just all about watching it commit itself. And, you manage your risk, you take your profit, and you get out. So, like, I really spend a lot more time just reading up on my news, seeing what's going on, knowing what's affecting the market. I do the NASDAQ 100. So like the brother said, the tech stocks, I pay attention to the tech stocks heavy, because that's what moves the market. They move the market heavy. And as well as the China market, different things going on with the US, and it moves the market heavy. But definitely, you're going to spend more time in preparation and reading and understanding what you're looking at than actually trading and making your money.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably spend, before the market opens every morning, maybe an hour or so, because I have a set of stocks that I look at to see if I'm going to trade these or not, trade the options on these or not. And then for the most part, I'm just trying to trade the broader market. So I go and look at that. I try as little as possible to really look at the news, because it will throw you off. The news will bias you as to what you think is going to happen. So they'll say, oh, there's been this trade war broke out, or this thing happened. You think that's going to affect the market in one way or another. It biases you, and you start to look at the prices. The prices are going completely against what the news says. So I try to look at anything but the prices if possible. But you spend a few hours doing that, looking at the direction things are going, looking at the charts from today, yesterday, the overall week. And then after that, I kind of have an idea of what I think is going to happen. And if the trades don't look the way I want them to look, I just don't make the trades for that day.
Gotcha.
All right.
Have you guys seen any changes since these COVID times have hit? Have you seen that affect the market in any
Oh
kind of
God,
way?
yes. Oh God, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It was a rhetorical question. I just wanted to get
Those Trump checks have changed the game 100%. So, and if you watch CNBC or any of those stations, you'll see a whole bunch of like the legacy guys, the old school people out there just complain. There's no way, none of this makes any sense. The market should still be going up. None of this should be happening.
Yeah.
And what happened was basically, one, they changed all the trading, so there's no commissions anymore. So people that barely have any money can day trade and just trade like crazy without eating up all their money in commissions. And then they gave out those checks, and Robinhood opened up to everybody. So now you got a whole bunch of like young cats that know nothing about the market other than, when I buy this, it just goes up indefinitely. So everything's going to keep going up. There's like this website called, or not this website, this forum on Reddit called Wall Street Bets. And they have this thing that says, stonks only go up. And they say it as a joke, but literally that's what it's been like since the end of the COVID crash. So people have this money, it's not really theirs. Well, it's theirs, but it's like, I didn't have this money before, so I can just gamble with it basically like I'm at a casino. Doesn't matter. And that money's just been flooding into the market and just pushing it higher. So it's really hard to not have stuff go up, because every time it starts to go down, the Fed will step in and do something, and that money that's out there just keeps going up, 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 up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just to give you just to piggyback off of my brother, 2 months ago, I say about 2 months ago, Robinhood had a subscriber base of 7 million. It jumped up to 10 million. So 3 million people subscribe to be on Robinhood because, number one, you don't pay commission. Number two, you can actually invest buying a whole stock, or you can invest in $1 or $5 or $10 or whatever the case is. And it's kind of like fool's gold. It really got the young people thinking that they know how to trade, but really what they're doing is gambling. They're betting and gambling. And I know trading is a form of gambling. And Robinhood thrives off of that because Robinhood eats off of subscribers. They have a deal with the brokers. So every time a subscriber comes sign up, they get a certain amount of money. So with that being said, an article just came across my Yahoo just to prove our point. 10,000 day traders an hour are buying Tesla. That just dropped at 3:20 p.m. What you think the market's going to do? 10,000. And they said almost 40,000 Robinhood accounts added shares of the automaker during a single 4-hour span on Monday. That's crazy. That's crazy. So it's fluff. We call it fluff. You fluff the market. But then you have the whales that's in the market, which is the Bill Gates and the Warren Buffett. These are all the whales that control the heavyweight investing. So at the end of the day, you will see a stock go down for no reason, like he said, for no reason. And the only reason it went down is because somebody like Warren Buffett owns 249 million shares of Apple. So just imagine if he just took one day and say, I'm going to sell 50 million shares of Apple. It's going to cause a scary feeling in the market. And guess what it's going to do? Most people trade with them and they create sell-offs like this. But guess what Warren Buffett will do at the end of the day? Buy them shares right back and Apple will go right back up. Mm-hmm. So these are the whales that's in the market. And that's why a lot of people always, tell you to really, really be careful with the news, because it can do totally opposite than what you thought it was going to do based on the news. Because when the whales come in and they buy 500,000 calls, that's on options, 500,000 puts, that means you're trading down. A put is down with option, a call is going up. So they start buying this heavyweight numbers and options and calls. It's going to affect that market. But it's fluff. At the end of the day, it's fluff. It's fluff. It's overbought. It's fluff. And it creates a sell-off. So when you see that market going up, 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 wait a while. It's coming right back down. It's coming right back down.
All right. So this is truly exciting. I mean, this kind of conversation, we normally would have with this kind of passion and intensity, a lot of times would not be related to the stock market. And literally the way you all are breaking the market down, I mean, I'm almost envisioning like there's like some kind of a streaming thing where you all come up in the morning and instead of watching something else, we could watch James and Carlos and my brother here just kind of break things down. I mean, it's no different than what you see on like MSNBC, CNBC, or a Bloomberg that have.
Right.
And
Blackbird.
it'd be great to see,
Blackbird, right.
great to see brothers having this kind of conversation on a daily basis, because I think it would be game changing for our people in terms of taking another look at something that's right in front of us and available to us, but we don't fully leverage it just because we don't have the complete level of understanding. So that's my preamble to an actual question from Kenneth Penn. So Kenneth apparently has been talking to his sons. One's 28, the other's 18. The oldest one is doing intraday trading and focus on tech and energy. The younger one, long plays, and Kenneth himself is more of a swing trader. So he's got a challenge where he should pull all this together into an investment group. So do you all have any suggestions on how they can pull those divergent strategies into some kind of a trading plan? And then what type of entity should he create in order to manage all that? So he's looking at either a corp, LLC, or something else, or does he just do it as an individual out there trading? So I know there's a lot of questions, a lot of components, but you all are well versed in this. So I know there's some good thoughts, and maybe you can share maybe your approach and how you position your own trading, involve your own trading. So Carlos or James?
How you want to break it down? I'll piggyback off you, Carlos.
Well, so for this part, I don't have any real strong input. I'll say I'll leave it to the Davis Bozeman group for all the legal questions about entities. As far as putting it all together, I'll say that I was part of the community. I was talking about the chart guys. They have an online community. It's basically a Slack group, and they do exactly what you were describing. One of their members, the senior members, will come on every day for the first hour and a half of the market. They literally do a play-by-play of what's going on in the market. They answer questions. They look at stocks, how it's moving, what they predict is going to happen, suggestions for what you can look at. So if you want to put something like that together, I think that would be really helpful to people. And within that group, they have lots of different channels. So there's a swing trading group, just like you were talking about. Swing trading is basically when you buy a stock and kind of hold it for a relatively short period of time, maybe a day, maybe a month, as opposed to buying and holding it for years until you retire. Intraday trading is basically just holding stocks for anywhere from a couple minutes, like I do, to some point during the day, but you basically buy it the same day, sell it the same day. They have channels dedicated to all that, and then also the different sectors of the market. So for people that are into MJ stocks, are like a really big thing, marijuana stocks, because it's becoming legalized. There's a lot of money in that stuff right now. There's groups for that. There's groups for energy. Basically anything you can think of, they have groups of people within that larger group that can give advice around that. So putting together a group like that is very useful because, one, you can get feedback from people that have a lot of experience, but also having somebody to bounce your ideas off of before you make a trade is really, really helpful, because sometimes you think you know everything and then you say something like, that's crazy, you didn't even think about this. You're like, oh, snap, I was about to lose all my money doing that. It's really good to have somebody to talk to before you make the trade you're going to make. So that would be my kind of input, but I don't really have any strong ideas about how you would do all the legal entities and everything like that.
Yeah, we trade as a team. So that's a great answer, because we trade as a team. We get fired up, we get pumped up, we hype each other up, we each other biggest cheerleaders, the whole nine. It's almost like we at a party when we trade in. You know, I hear some people say you need silence, you gotta be quiet, but not us. We get hyped about it. And a couple of times what we actually did was we trade on purpose. We went reverse ways. Like when 6 p.m. come up, the market going either go up or go down. So a lot of times what we was doing was coming in with low positions, and he might trade up and I might trade down, because what we've been finding out, when they go up, it's coming right back down. That's the 6 p.m. open. So what happens is I'm making money going up, he's making money going down. I mean, losing money going down. So when I jump out, he start to get his money back. Now that might happen 6.5 out of 10 times. So we trade small on that, and then we scale in like he said. So we might start at one position, and let's say it dropped 10 positions. Somebody's going to lose 200. We already know that. But on this hand, somebody's going to be making $100 per point off of them 10 positions. So since we're a team, if $1,000 is made on this side and $200 is lost on that side, we just subtract the 200 and we still walk away with the 800. So we've been experimenting like that because we basically trade the same. We've been trading around each other so long, we started making the same mistakes that we split up for a little while to see if his strategy and my strategy separate can help take away and minimize the mistakes, take them out the equation, and it worked. So we trade as a team. We trade as a team. We actually trade better as a team.
Mm-hmm. And
Good. Well, what were you going to say, Mark? Go ahead. I'll jump in after you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that goes to one of the other questions that came up. So it seems like teams work, individuals work, and then there are groups that are out there. So they were asking questions on investment groups or pooling resources. It sounds like that's something that both of you, both James, Carlos, and the other brother. I'm sorry. What's your name again, good brother? Can't hear you.
My name is Elton, like Elton John.
Elton. Okay. All right.
Elton.
Elton. All right.
Man.
You're a Rocket Man. See?
There you go.
Right. We're gonna nickname you Rocket Man, man.
Rocket Man, huh?
There you go. So what are your thoughts on pooling? Do you all do any groups? Because I know for James and Elton, it sounds like you're doing education and training. Do you also have groups that are getting together and doing investing as well?
Well, what we're looking to do by September, start a private equity group. We want to start our own private equity group. So our goal is this: the people that we're bringing through the course to actually teach, we hope a good percentage of them take it serious and learn this craft. Because at the end of the day, just imagine taking 20 people, right? or 25 people and everybody making $200 a day. That's not far-fetched. Trust and believe, that's not far-fetched. So that's $5,000 a day, $125,000 a week, $250 every 2 weeks, and $500 a month. And that's our goal. Our goal is to put a private equity group together within our team first, and then we go out for crowdfunding and things of that nature. So right now we in the talks with somebody with a Series 7, a Series 6 license, and all of that good stuff. Of course, we got to be with the compliance of the SEC and all that great stuff. But what we want to do is actually take the money, trade, and put back into commercial real estate. So we're actually getting ready to put together a private equity group. And because we know how to trade, because my brother up here know how to trade, he'll tell you just as well as I tell you. If you're a good trader, the only reason you're not making $50,000 a day, $25,000 a day is because you don't have that money to hold that account. That's the only reason. Somebody that make $1 million a day, you better believe they don't just have 100,000 in their account. They got enough to cover that $1 million. So the more money you make, a lot of times it has to do with the more money that's actually in your account. Once you know how to trade, you know how to trade. If they put me in a room with Warren Buffett and Warren Buffett say, hey guys, here go $5 million. I need you to turn that into $10 million in 6 months. We're gonna laugh at them. In 6 months, we're gonna laugh at them because we know what we can do with that type of money. Now we don't have to trade 5 positions. We don't have to trade 10 positions where we're looking at $400 a point or $200 a point. We can trade where we're looking at $5,000 a point. You understand where I'm coming from? So at the end of the day, the more money you have in your account, as long as you know, strong with your risk management, the more money you're gonna grow your account. It's just that simple. So we're looking to put a private equity funding group together and start this off hopefully in September, October.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, it definitely sounds like you would take that money if you were in front of Warren Buffett and keep going. So that was the first thing I was listening for. But then you're gonna triple and grow more. So that's outstanding. Yeah. Carlos, how about you?
I'm sorry, what was the original question again?
Investment groups and pooling resources. So that's when James and Elton said they're setting up their equity group. Or
yeah, I actually think it's a great idea to do something like that. It will be a time investment, but it's definitely, like I said, good to have other people to be able to bounce ideas off of. And then, you know, there's just always the inherent risk of when you do anything, you start pooling your money together, but you know, that is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, and I'm just checking right now. And all right, so we have one. I'll take this last question because right now we're at 7:34, and we normally end this at 7:30, but we're getting a lot of questions. So brothers, we may have to bring you back in for another time so we can try to address the questions. But before we go, this last question, this Eric Morgan's indicated, if I have 5,000 to invest today, what would be your most practical suggestion? So we're gonna go to Elton, because Elton's gonna turn that 5 into about 500,000. So Rocket Man, take us away. Take us away.
Hey, honestly, for me, the 5,000, I'll be trading futures with it. I'll manage my risk. I probably wouldn't do more than $100 a point. I would start with one position and do $20 a point. I'll scale it up to $100 a point. But it all depends. If the volatility kicks up, different things is going on in the market, I might take it up to 10 positions, which might give me 200 a point. So with that 5,000, it's a good chance I'm going to make at least $1,000 for the day. On the safe side, I make 1,000, and I won't be greedy. I'll get out the way.
Thank you for that, Elton. And James, what are you doing?
I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna go to lunch with it, man. I'll keep it real with you. I'm gonna go to lunch. Now, what I would actually do, I would scale it down. Because if you got, I would tell the young person, the gentleman or the young lady that asked that question, just imagine how much money you have in your checking account, your CD marketing account, or your savings account, and what type of ROI you get per month on that. And then what I would do was say, let's take this 5,000. I will also go towards futures as well, but I would just scale it down to one position, because when you look at it with one position, you're only talking about $5,000. That's not a lot of money. However, if you got one position and you're grabbing 5 positions out of the 5 points out of the market a day, 10 points out of the market today, you're making $100 to $200 a day. So at the end of the day, if you fall short and let's just say you make $50 for the day, well, that's $250 for the week extra. That's $1,000 a month extra. That's $12,000 a year extra off of that same 5,000. So I will slow walk it. I wouldn't scale it up to 3 positions, 5 positions, or anything. I'll stick at that one position and I'll grow that account.
Outstanding. Thank you for that, James. Carlos.
I'll say this: the market is way too irrational for me these days. So I'm not going to give any advice as to what I would do with it, because it really would change depending on what happens tomorrow morning. I really couldn't tell you what to do with it. I would say do your research and figure out where you think you'll be best invested. That's the best advice I can give.
Okay. Greatly appreciate this. So Marty, I know I'm the one saying we almost out of time, so I'm gonna
normally you're the one cutting us off, man. So now you feel what it's like out here, right?
Hey, big bro.
The brothers, we are getting towards the end of our session here, and one of the things that we are really clear about for our young brothers out there is that your greatness doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come just as a shot in the pan. It comes from doing some ritual things, some things you do on a regular basis, right? So what we talk about is our habits, rituals, and disciplines that we do on a daily basis. It keeps us moving forward. Right? It keeps us getting towards our greatness. And we know that people that have had success in any field do that. So with that, we want to ask you guys, what are your habits, rituals, and disciplines that you do on a daily basis to help you to keep moving forward? Because these little nuggets are what we're looking for our young folks out there. So I'll start with you, Brother Carlos. What would you say are your habits, rituals, and disciplines?
So the 2 things I do almost every morning ritualistically are 1, go out and tend to my garden, and 2, try and do at least like 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation. I can't express how much of a difference it makes just kind of have yourself calm and clear-headed before you go into the day versus being kind of hyped up or too excited, because it's just going to make you make mistakes. So my biggest thing is always trying to be as calm and unemotional, level-headed as possible when I start going into the day.
Awesome. All right. How about you, Brother Elton? You're on mute, bro.
How about now? You hear me?
We got you. Lost you. We lost you again.
How about now? You hear me?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I apologize.
All right.
So for me, honestly, what I like to do is I like to analyze a lot of different things that's been going on, with the China market, what happened, that morning before the market opens. I like to see if any earning reports. I just like to just scale a lot of different things and see what's going on. That way I have an understanding, what the market may be up to that day. Because like I said, what I like to trade is the NASDAQ 100, and it's the tech stocks. The tech stocks control that. So I have to get an understanding of what's going on. Are some of the heavy hitters, the earnings coming out today? Is what reports are coming out? I like to look at different things like that. So that lets me know, should I go ahead and be a little aggressive today, or should I be careful? I'm gonna be patient every day. I'm gonna manage my risk every day. But sometimes you might have a little point in the day where you might have a 20, 30, 40, 50 point run. I might want to take 10 points and just get out the way, and I'm done trading for the day. So I like to kind of look at all those type of things and see what's going on before I even jump in the market. That way I have an understanding of, is it going to be a real choppy day, or, is it going to lean heavy going up? Just that's what I like to look at every day.
Awesome. Brother Mark, I'm going to bring you in. We didn't get a chance to touch on you a whole lot. But I want you to talk about your habits, rituals, and disciplines that you do on a daily basis, and then likewise what you as an entrepreneur have dealt with in this space a little bit. What you think is kind of the everyday man's approach to these other guys are doing trading heavy. I know you have your hands in other things as well.
Yes. Well, daily rituals, meditation. I practice martial arts, so I try and do that every day to kind of center myself, get my thoughts together. With regard to trading, just like anything, I read. I read a lot in terms of trying to get a good grasp on exactly what's going on. For me, my entry, of course, was my own stock portfolio and trying to get interested in exactly what was going on. And so sitting back and while I'm kind of controlling things behind the scenes, for myself, not being as knowledgeable in terms of the other efforts that the gentlemen are doing, when I'm watching the stock market go up and down, I'm really trying to figure out what's going on, because you said it's counterintuitive, right? So I'm trying to find out more information as to what exactly is going on from that standpoint, so that I can predict, or try and get in there in a more valued way. So those are my habits, to try and read as much information as possible. So I've been jotting down notes about what these brothers are talking about.
Awesome. And these brothers have had a lot of notes, right? There's a lot of stuff that y'all have dropped, a lot of gems, and we truly appreciate that. I always say every week, we are doing this virtually now, but it's some point in the future, God willing, we will all be able to be in the same space again and do these as our normal live sessions. And I would love to have you brothers in that space because we'll redo a lot of these topics that we do. But we'd also love to have you in the space just to help and mentor these young men that we have as part of Black Man Lab. So thank you for that. We have some traditions also that we do as we close out. One of which is we talk about when we're in the same space together, being links in the chain together. I'm going to bring Brother Miley Davis back in so he can close that out. And then after that, Miley, I'm going to give a couple of announcements for what we have coming down the road.
Man, thank you, brother, so much. Let me tell you what warmed my heart. I was leaving the office, and it's been a very challenging and emotional day because of the death of young Sequoia Turner here in Atlanta, the 8-year-old who was killed near the scene of Rashard Brooks's death at the Wendy's on University. And so we were with the family, have been with the family throughout the day. So I was just trying to get home to really kind of gather myself, but I was listening the whole way. And when I got here, one of the most beautiful things I've witnessed in a while was that my youngest son, Kahari, was tuned in to Black Man Lab watching it. And I said, man, because he's been just doing some trading, and it just keeps going back to why we started the Black Man Lab, because we know the need for him to hear other voices, other men who can connect with him outside of my voice, because they reach an age where they stop listening to us. And so for you brothers to lend your expertise in stocks and trading, and for my son, who we helped create Black Man Lab for, to be plugged in, and I didn't call him, I didn't do anything, he just plugged in, is real dope. So that, you know, was important for me to share with you all. So thank you. So we close because we recognize that we are connected, and the importance of our connectedness as brothers and as community. And so we know that the world tries us. We are tried every day in some form or fashion as Black men and Black people. And one of the things that Injiri Alghani, Mama Injiri Alghani would tell us was, when we closed our meetings, we would say, we'd link up and we'd say, I'm a link in this chain and it won't break here. And the importance of that resonates today more than ever, when we're going through COVID-19, continuing to deal with police brutality and excessive force, and continue to deal with issues within our community that we have to address as a people. And with all of that coming at us, those of us that are committed to the upliftment of our community and of our race have to stay connected. And so if you all would join us by connecting up, you put your hands up like you're connecting as a link in the chain, and you can take yourselves off of mute, and go ahead and take yourself off of mute, and just all people all around the Black Man Lab world, if y'all would just join us in this affirmation. I am a link in this chain.
I'm
I'm
link
linking
Link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it
And
won't
it won't break here.
here.
I am a link in this chain.
I am a link in this
in this
chain.
This chain.
And it won't break here.
and it
And
won't
it
break.
won't
Won't
break here.
break here.
We are links in this chain.
We
are links in
links
We are
in
links in
this
this chain.
And we won't break here.
and we
we
won't
won't
break
break
here.
Break here.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Thank you all.
Peace,
Brother
brothers.
Brother Molly, thank you.
Awesome, Maurice.
Thank
Marty,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, brothers. Elton.
Yes. One more thing before we go, fellas. I want to announce to the listening audience, if you are interested in donating to the Black Man Lab, we are always open to donations, because we are doing things in the community. We are doing things for our young folks, and we want, to be able to give them the resources that they need. Please go to theblackmanlab.org, and there's a donation button on there. Feel free to donate anytime. Also, make sure, it's important, make sure you're filling out your census, as well as registering to vote. These are two things that are crucial for us in our community in terms of us being able to have the righteous voice that we need to have. So please make sure that you're doing those things. Outside of that, again, brothers, panelists, thank you so much. We so appreciate you. Brother Maurice, thank you. Brother Fred and Brother Jared, thank you for participating and helping to keep moving this forward. And Brother Molly, always. Peace.
Peace, man.
Have a good night, everyone. Looking
Good
forward
night,
to
guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.